So right, but it's also got to be, the country also has to have the infrastructure and the ability to enforce those rules. And a lot of Latin American countries don't have that. So a system that might work in Canada won't necessarily work in Latin America, and I think that's really important to understand. So understand the governability.
Is the worst in the hemisphere. Under President Alvaro Uribe's watch, more than 2 million people have been displaced from their rich resource territories, while thousands of trade unionists, peasants, indigenous peoples, Afro-Colombians, and activists have been killed by the state and affiliated paramilitary organizations.
La violencia por los grupos paramilitares cercanos al gobierno actual, entre ellos muchos indígenas y afrocolombianos que han sido arrancados y sacados de sus territorios para alistar la implementación de los tratados de libre comercio con Canadá y con Estados Unidos.
I want to just again ratify the information that the brother gave you. It's absolutely factual. I just want to clarify one data that we need to bring up to date. It's been more than 2 million people who have been displaced. We're now close to 4 million people who have been displaced by the policies of the Uribe government and the paramilitary.
Shame! But Colombia is a drop in the ocean, so we have to ask ourselves, why is Canada negotiating with Colombia? And it's a political thing, right? Colombia has had a horrible time. Well, the Colombian people have had a horrible time, and the Colombian government especially has been pressured by the international community, like time and time again, right? Because of its human rights violations. And so Colombia has had a very difficult time passing free trade agreements with other countries. And it does have significant economic ties with, like the United States, like Norway. Those countries have rejected free trade agreements with Colombia. They've said, no, we don't want that, right? But there's Canada to the rescue to put a smiley face on free trade. And that's exactly what the Canadian government is doing right now. They're putting a smiley face on free trade. They're absolving the crimes of a criminal regime that murders its own people. It murders its own people. And we're standing up for Colombia. The Canadian government is standing up for the Colombian government, right? When is the Canadian government going to stand up for us? When is the Canadian government going to stand up for the human rights abuses and the situation in Colombia? And when is the Canadian government going to stand up for us, right? They're not doing it, is what I'm saying.
The Colombian government to improve their human rights situation? The government puts this argument forward, and the liberal trade critic Scott Bryson just put that argument forward too. Is this credible? No. No! The Canadian government is already denying most of the human rights information that is right in their face. They're saying that President Uribe has done a lot to address the situation and needs to be supported in continuing that. This is patently false, and we need to say that loud and clear. Who believes this story anyway? Not the Colombian people. Last fall, in an inspiring show of dignity and resistance, Colombia's Aboriginal people began a march called the Mingo for Social and Community Resistance. I may not need the microphone, actually, I'm pretty loud. The Mingo was for their communities and other social movements to demand their rights. They had a 5-point platform, and among all the things in Colombia that they might be demanding of their government, one of those 5 points was no to the free trade agreement with Canada and the U.S. People in Colombia are clear this is not going to help them.
But last year, I had the opportunity to travel to Colombia with Paul Moist, the president of KIPI, with Denis Lemelin, the president of the postal workers, and with George Heyman, past president of the BCGEU. And we witnessed firsthand the atrocities of the Uribe government on the people of Colombia, on trade unionists of Colombia, on human rights violations in Colombia, on the indigenous peoples of Colombia, on the Aboriginal people of Colombia. What we witnessed was absolutely tragic. These people have been murdered for standing up for their land in terms of the Aboriginal and indigenous people. They get kicked off the land so that they can build these great fancy resorts And it's sad to say, sisters and brothers, people around the world, including some of our colleagues, go to these, but the people who have been displaced and murdered to get that land are sitting, are gathered around in ghettos throughout Colombia. It's a shame, sisters and brothers.
Thank you, Brother. By Peter Julian, the MP for
Well, on behalf of our national leader, Jack Layton, and the 37 members of the federal NDP caucus, we say no to a trade agreement with the government of Uribe in Colombia. We say no. We say no because the murder rate for human rights activists, labor activists is going up, not down. Tragically, in 2008, higher than 2007. And as these coffins illustrate before us now, the murder rate continues to climb in Colombia. We say no because the murder of trade unionists and human rights activists continues to climb in Colombia. We say no. On dit non, on dit 1000 fois non. Parce qu'en plus de tous ces meurtres, on voit aussi des disparitions. Des gens qui simplement disparaissent. Des syndicalistes, des avocats pour les droits humains disparaissent tous les jours en Colombie, plus que 1000 depuis 1 an et demi. C'est pour toutes ces raisons-là qu'on dit no.
I just became inspired during the summer, Mike, and thank you for asking, by the speech that I heard from Dr. Manuel Rosenthal at the the BC Teachers Conference in Kamloops, and not even fully understanding what he was talking about. I just was so touched by what seemed to be the inner message that spoke to my feelings for humanity.